I'm restarting this. Sorry if you hear wind and if you hear cars. Space truck. Bear with me. Um, so the reason I didn't post the links yet, because I made the videos and I uploaded them earlier, but I wanted to give myself all day because sometimes I know me. I'm like, oh my God, yeah, I missed that or I forgot that or whatever the case. And so I didn't want that time to come where, and like I said, hopefully you can hear me. I didn't want that time to come where, like, I posted a video, and it's about closure, and then like 2 days later I say something, or 3 days later I say something again. Um, because I feel like that would then, yes, that's a part of healing. Of course, when I say closure, I'm still gonna think about this, you know, after this. I'm still going to wonder about these things after this. But as far as speaking on it and speaking to you, I feel like, that would be in the realms of closure. And so I can't keep, bringing it up and conjuring it up and everything if I am to move on and have that closure that I speak of. So, the one other thing I wanted to talk about that I forgot earlier is indecisiveness. And the point of making the whole closure video was to free myself, like I said, of any wrongdoing that I felt. And I think that's my biggest issue is that I kept over and over again saying, what did I do? Thinking it was a me thing. And I had to, be with people, around people that kind of, said, wait, but what about your perspective? Like, how did you see it? And I have come to find, that there really is, I don't want to say that there's no right and wrong. There definitely is a right and wrong. But obviously, you feel like what you did was valid. And I feel like what I'm doing is valid. But of course, I think truth and reality shows you like who is hurt who's having, a heartbreak, and who's just kind of willy nilly about it all. And I think there's a balance there because we are supposed to be able to move on with our lives and get better, after mistakes. But at the same time, I think we are supposed to feel those things to be able to get better. And we are supposed to feel, the results of our actions if we are to see them as wrong to even begin with, to even diagnose them, to even then go and get help for them. And so if we think that we've just done nothing wrong whatsoever, then yeah, it could, be an issue because then we don't see our faults. And so I think one thing that you may say is, oh, she's very indecisive. She doesn't know what she wants, right? And so you can use that as an excuse as to why you did what you did, why you slept around, and why you were just done. But once again, I think for me, it comes from the perspective of, oh my God, I think a mosquito bit me. But I can't do this. I'm not get up there. But I do need to like this guy. Just therapy. Gotta watch the sunset and smoke a cigar. Um, no, of course, no choppers on it. I don't like trucks. They're not ugly. Well, vehicles, vehicles. I don't like them. Okay. But I feel like you just saw it as her not knowing what she wants. And like I said, if I am to have closure, it goes into explaining, right? And maybe for you too, maybe it would be closure for you too, like explaining, like, hey, this happened, but I'm done with it. And maybe that's what the sit down was about and things like that. But I once again feel like you don't understand what it is you did. And if I'm going to heal and I'm traumatized at losing the man I love, not because, oh, he didn't choose me, but because he was such a horrible and dark person that he could not see from my eyes and my perspective. And I've explained it already, I think, that you kind of now represent a face of trauma for me. I don't want, and I hate to say this because I think a part of it is not true. I will be honest in this here video. It'll always be true. Of course, I would always love to, you know, see you, interact with you, or experience, certain shit with you. But I think it's a matter of, do I feel like I'd be able to trust you or be happy, with you or around you? And I will, I think, be even maybe a bit more open and honest that I feel like if you're able to just move on happily and willy nilly, as if, you didn't hurt somebody and traumatize somebody, then you may not be feeling the weight of your actions. You may not actually be, you know, changed. And I had to get over that. I had to remember, like, he has a right to get out of his life after he's hurt you. You know, if you want to keep holding him accountable for that and you want to keep, pointing the finger at only that, then that's you. But he has a right to change. He has a right to move on. But to me, I think I felt like that change was you communicating. That change was you apologizing. That change was you saying, you know what, that girl was worth loving and I should try to do right by her. To me, that is change. That is progress. But you may have felt like, I can't do that if she doesn't make a decision, you know? And I was always bouncing back and forth. I was always indecisive. And uh, hmm, this wind is kind of pushing my cigar over. But um, did an ant just bite me on my butt? Hey, back, fuck up. I will kill myself after. Don't do that. Um, you would have probably felt like it's hard to, know what she wants because she can't make a decision. And it wasn't that I was just, there was reasoning as to why I couldn't make a decision. There's reasoning, which once again, I did not see any changed behavior from you. Um, that let me think that I could be safe with you and that you had actually changed. And I think what that would have looked like based on what happened would have been, like I said, giving me the space when I asked for it. And I did ask you when this all first started taking place to stop talking about me with people, stop discussing me with people. And I think you didn't realize the reason I was saying that. And I think I eventually told you it's because you cannot control what people do with the information you give them, right? I think I learned that lesson the hard way. And you cannot control when someone stops talking about that information, what they do after you give them that information, who they tell it to, how many times they tell it, and which way they may tell it. Things can get lost in translation. And so I felt like you were taking a chance on whether or not I got any message from you, or I got any sign from you that you actually cared and wanted to, be with me, or that you were trying, yourself and things like that. I think that you did not consider who you were giving that message to begin with. You know, Liars, people who aren't honest, people who we have both watched stir up trouble and instigate things simply for entertainment purposes. I feel like, yo, let me find out these girls are teenage girls. What's wrong with the boys next door? Or did it stop? Did it stop? So sorry, not skipping. My ADHD is about to win. Fuck it. Let me get back on track. Um, now what are they doing down there with those boy scouts? Ooh, not the hoochie mama's looking for. I mean, I think it's natural. That's what we do. Guys look for girls, girls look for guys. Um, but for me, the reason I was always coming to you is because I knew that those people were messy, and I knew that they stirred up trouble just because they felt like it. And I did not want to risk them sending you a message and then lying or misinterpreting what I said. So I always came to you directly so that so you were not giving me that same benefit, especially after I had asked for space. Oh my God, that's not that girl, is it? That's not that little girl, is it? Oh my God, she's grown up so much. There's no way. If she gets out of this fucking thing, bro, I'm gonna be shook. I haven't seen her since she was small. Who knows? We'll see in a minute. Um, but I didn't really like that. I felt like you didn't want me to have the same clarity, and you weren't seeing that. You didn't get that. And so I felt like you weren't mature enough to understand where I was coming from. Because if I'm coming to you directly and I'm giving you clarity, you saw it as she's nagging or she's being bitchy or she's whining. And I saw it as not putting other people in our business. And unless it was people that I thought morally stand up, right? Like Miss M, she's an amazing woman. I think we both can agree on that. And of course, she has her moments where her brain just you know, it can bop around, but for the most part, she's an honorable lady. And so I trusted her with you. And, you know, I think Mr. H at one point I trusted really well with you. Um, so those people I was okay with kind of discussing those things with. And everyone else not as much, except of course one other person, but you had already told that person about our business, so they already knew. And when they came asking for, you know, hey, what's going on and this and that, and if I was okay and everything was all right and stuff, and they, apologized for their part and everything, I did feel like at that point it became all of our situation because now we're all in this, we're all talking about this. We're all, up in a roar about this. We're all trying to, figure out what's going on. And so it did become a bit of all of our situation. And so I do feel like at that point I was more so just discussing the situation. And after a while, I did feel like I could trust that person. They hadn't done anything to make me feel like I couldn't trust them, until I realized that they gossiped a lot. And I am a firm believer that if they'll gossip with you, they'll gossip about you. So I did start to kind of slow down what I told that person. And I did start to also feel your presence on that person when they talked to me. And I just felt like I couldn't trust them anymore. And so that's when I cut off communication because I just felt like it was going to make the situation worse than better, and that I wasn't going to be able to get better, and that you weren't going to be able to take the time you needed to get better. Um, but other than that, I did try to keep it mainly just between us. And then obviously, Twitter doesn't know who the fuck you are. They don't really know who the fuck I am. And so that was pretty much that. But when you were, making this whole list of demands and things, and I told you this, I don't trust you to lead me. I don't trust you to guide me because you can't even get the simple concept of why direct communication is important for clarity. You saw it once again as me bitching, and instead of me coming to you with my concerns and feeling like I should be able to trust you and come to you with them. Um, and I feel like you were pushing, my worries aside. And I was like, hey, something bad's gonna happen. Please listen to me. I felt like you just saw it as like, oh, this crazy bitch, here she goes again with once again these babbles and these fables and these tall tales and all these things. And once again, a lot of that did end up coming to pass because you just kept pushing my spirituality aside. You are more still ingrained in this society where you think that people can't know things before they happen. And I don't know what to tell you. I don't believe that. I think people can know things before they happen. And that's why I kept telling you the things that I saw. And you were just, once again, not understanding where I was coming from. And so, mm-mm. Let me go back to it. Dang. Ooh, not the drama, not the teenage drama. Ooh, let me stay out of their business. But apparently the girls did come to see the boys. Mm, mm, mm. Yeah, very interesting for all these years. From a new perspective. I um I feel like you didn't get the clarity of it, like I said, and so I couldn't trust you to be someone that I felt was ready to be with me. And so for that reason, hold on, it's getting really windy. So let me go to the porch. Hmm, interesting. To watch these kids grow up. Those little boys used to play baseball and everything, and now they have girls pulling up on them. No, that's right. They grow so fast. Um, but it should be more harder. Ugh. I um I feel like you didn't understand, like I said, my way of communication, and so you can't really be with someone you can't communicate with. It's really hard. You can't interact with them. You can't plan, things, and even if it's just to experience each other and see where it goes, you can't even do that because you don't trust that this person is a trustworthy person, and that you have that level of openness between you that is able harmony. Basically, you guys won't be able to coexist because you'll never feel safe with them, they'll never feel secure and safe with you, and the worst part is you guys won't communicate about it. You'll just let it keep happening, and till it eventually ruins everything. And so that's why, like I said, I was very big on communication and clarity, and when you could not give that to me directly, I saw it as he's not ready. He's not mature enough to be with me because he can't communicate with me, and, not understand, like, these people are not good people to talk to. These people, once again, are messy. These people like to instigate whenever they get ready. And they probably aren't people I should have in the mix of the situation with this girl who is very sensitive to injustice and very sensitive to dishonor and just bad vibes and bad energy and evil intentions. And so they're probably not the best people to, you know, she probably wouldn't be comfortable with me telling her information or our information to these people. And so I saw it as you not considering me even more than before. And I saw it as, once again, you not having the thought process of what I feel like is a smart man to be able to even make that decision for yourself, right? And I think it can kind of be seen in the way of, you may feel like, oh, I just want to be able to say I bagged her. Like, I feel like that's how men think, right? It's kind of like a chase, and the man who gets it is obviously the winner. He's like the best. And so I can't really feel like you're the best or you're worth giving it to if you can't even make me feel comfortable. unless I'm just a dumb bitch and I give it to someone who makes me feel uncomfortable. Um, but that wasn't my case. And so I felt like either you wanted that to be the case with me, or you thought that what you were doing was right and it was actually going to change things and make me feel safer. But instead, you were doing something that was actually the opposite and was making me feel way less safe. And that's, hold on. My dad told me about this. Oh, no way. Oh my God, no way. No way, no way, no way, no way. No way, no way, no way, no way. Okay. I'm gonna act like I didn't see it. Hold on. Oh, shit. It's finally spring again, which means I can sit on my porch at sunset and be nosy. Oh my God. The tea is teeing, bro. This cannot be real. Wow. So much has changed over there. What the fuck is going on? But that's what it was. That's what was keeping me from feeling safe with you. And so I always did keep changing my mind, because it's like I really want to try and I really want to make it work with this person, but they are still showing that they don't have the mindset to think, the way I think and see things the way I see things. So that means we will always be in disagreement because you'll always feel like what you're doing is right and it's the right way. And I'll always feel like what I'm doing is right and it's the right way. And once again, the worst part is we can't even communicate properly to sit down and have that conversation amongst ourselves because we can't stop fighting to be able to do so. And of course, we couldn't stop fighting because I did not trust you to be someone that I could have those moments with. And of course, it came from safety. Once again, I went through a traumatic situation when I was younger, going and seeing my cousin laying there dead. But I think it was more so too her baby. I had never seen, and this is going to get a little vulgar, but I had never seen a dead baby before. That was the first time I ever saw a dead baby. And I had held that baby a few times, and I remember picking her up when she had finally got really fucking heavy, and I was like, "Are you sure she's only fucking two?" And to then see her again and she be in a casket, it was so surreal. Like I couldn't stop looking at it because I was still a kid myself. And now I'm seeing a dead baby in front of me. And I just could not, once again, with you watching me, basically stalking me, and then lying about it. And then to hear you speak on, my house and things, I was just like, how the fuck does this person possibly know any of these details? And it started to make me once again feel even more unsafe. And so even if I did want to come in contact with you to communicate with you after hearing you say that you would kill someone, you know, knowing that that's what happened to my cousin and her baby, and I saw it and it was a traumatic event for me. I just did, I kept picturing my family coming to view me, and I did not, or someone else's family coming to view them because you can't control yourself. And I did not want that to be the case. So I did not want to reconnect and put myself in that situation if I couldn't fully trust you again, literally out of survival instinct. And so when, hold on, where's my lighter? Okay. When You, after hearing that, I it just I couldn't. I did not feel safe. And I had really, wanted to try, but I just kept feeling like, what if something happens to me? And what if something happens to someone else because of me? And I would never be able to feel okay, putting my family through that again. And I would never be able to feel okay putting someone else's family through what our family went through. And I just needed to know for sure that you weren't that person anymore before I felt safe to, you know, begin even trying to rebuild something with you. And to me, that looked like you taking the steps of considering me and considering what I ask and starting with at least giving me space. But once again, maybe you had already had this conversation with these two gentlemen and they just went with it and did what they wanted with it, which is why I was telling you not to do that. And so the fact that the consequences of that were right in front of me yet again, it's like every time, this person has the opportunity to do right, you know, when it comes to me, and has the opportunity to stop making things worse, they just make things worse instead. And so, once again, how can I then feel like I can trust you? And so, I just, I knew I wanted to make it work. So that's the days where I was like, okay, we can try this. I believe in us. We can get better. We just have to take time and we have to heal. But then there were days where, of course, people were talking about it again. People were bringing it up again. And I'm like, okay, I don't know if he's recently talked about this with them, um, or if they're just still, going based on the conversation that happened a while ago and they just won't let it go now. But there was no peace for me to think that things had changed and that the situation was safe. Because once again, I feel like, and not once again, but who the fuck is that walking? Okay. Oh, okay. Whatever. So I didn't feel secure. I didn't feel safe. And so on those days, it made me feel like this person still is not hearing me, you know? And I feel like if you had heard the moment you heard that these people had told me things and said things, either you could have cleared it up yourself by telling me directly, that you didn't say those things. But I think it was once again hard for me to believe you. It was hard for me to believe anything you said because you had been lying so much up until that point and hiding things so much up until that point that it was hard for me to trust you and trust that you really hadn't said those things, you know? And the thing is, I knew you said those things because you quoted things directly from my social media. And as far as I know for sure, none of them had it. None of them had my social media. Granted, it was public at that time, but, and it will probably only be public now, maybe for a little while. I don't know. But I just didn't feel like there was a way anybody else could know that, but you. And describe it in a way that you described it when you described your stomach hurting and your head hurting. I know that feeling all too well. Everything hurts, right? Um, so I knew it came from you. And so when you lied and said you didn't say those things, and maybe you never lied. That's the thing. Maybe you never lied. Maybe that person was lying for you. But do you see what happens if you can't communicate and someone doesn't trust you to allow you to communicate with them because you've harmed them and you've wronged them? And that's why I did tell you when I gave you that book, basically a fucking book, I call it the book, that don't ever lie. And the reason why is because then no one, it's hard for the person you want to reconcile with after you lied for them to be able to trust you. And once again, everything I wrote in there, I knew was going to come to pass. And I was just hoping you took it and learned. And that's not what happened. Um, and so that's why I told you, don't drink and drive and don't do this and don't do that and don't, ruin a woman's mind or ruin a woman's life because you can't accept her attraction to her. And everything I was trying to tell you, and it just, I don't fucking know, bro. And I feel like that would have been a good moment to tell those people to stop, you know? And if they respected you, they would have. If my friend asked me to stop something, I'm gonna stop, Um, especially if it's hurting them or affecting them or, affecting their relationship or what they want with this person, even if it's affecting them just getting fucking pussy. Like, isn't that what bros and, wingmen are supposed to be for? So I would have I felt like that was a good moment to be like, hey, y'all are ruining it. Y'all are making it worse. Just stop. Just stop. But of course, they didn't stop. And I felt like either you didn't ask them to, or once again, your actions of not listening and caring about what I said to you made you have a conversation with these men months prior that they were still lingering on. And it was causing and affecting me, in our situation. And so I had to heal from that all over again. And that's why I left that shift around April or May or something like that, because I knew now I have to heal from this that this person's done again. So while I was already healing from what you've done, I now have to heal from something else that you've done. And who knows how long that was going to take. And after a while of, not talking and nothing being said, I started to think, okay, am I ready to talk to this person again? Am I, ready to close some of the space between us? And I wasn't sure, but I was worried because I know that, you get stressed and you get impulsive and you do crazy things. And it started to worry me like now they have no way of knowing, or you, in a sense, have no way of knowing what's going on, and I'm just kind of leaving you in the dark. And so I wanted to make sure that I was being transparent with you, or at least, checking on you and making sure you were okay and things. And it would have soothed me, um, to know that you were doing okay while I was taking my space, because then I know you're not just out there thinking like, damn, I really fucked up, it's over, and just crashing out, and making stupid mistakes. And so that's why I wanted that person to call and check on you, because then at least I know you're doing okay and I can keep taking my space, keep healing, and not worry as much or feel guilty as much if you are out there in the dark and crashing out thinking that you've ruined everything. And so, of course, I was expecting them to, call you when I wasn't around, but they came in the room and they had started making a phone call, which they did a lot. So I'm thinking they're going to get on the phone and talk to someone else, one of their buddies in their language or whatever. But it was you. And I was like, oh, okay. And of course, I'm not just going to get up and leave the room because your voice is there and you're talking, because I didn't feel the reason to. This person chose to call you while I was in the room. It's not my job to evacuate the scene. Like, I was in this room first, minding my business, and you came in here and made a phone call, and it just happened to be that person. Um, and I feel like if it was something that you did not want me to hear, then when you realized he was at work, I would have been like, well, call me when you're no longer at work. Like, if I call someone and they say, hey, I'm with such and such right now, I'm going to hang up. I'm going to be like, okay, well, just call me when, you're free. If I don't want to talk to you, or if I don't want you to know my business or anything like that. And that's not what you did. So I was just like, okay, I'll just sit here and mind my business and let them have their conversation. I was not expecting that person to bring me up in any kind of way and this, that, and the third. And then obviously the next phone call, I was not expecting them to bring me up again. And, when you said, well, that's good. I hope they're doing okay. I did feel a bit better. I'm like, okay, I hope he's doing okay too. He hopes I'm doing okay. Like, this is good. This is good. He seems like he's really, maturing and got it. So now we can see and we can go from here. And there were discussions and things, once again, with this person that I strictly trusted with you at that time. So I wasn't too worried about, going to them be for advice, because they had always given you really good advice. They had always given me really good advice. It seemed like they cared for you, they cared for me. So I'm like, you know what? I think I can trust this person. And not only that, unlike you, I'm not afraid to say what I did and didn't say 10 times over. And that's why I always told you, don't say something once that you won't say again. So had any of these people came to you and told you I said something, all you needed to do, if you really wanted to know, was come to me and I would have told you exactly what I said. So I was never really afraid to discuss this with this person. Um, Now they um when they called and they mentioned me again, and that's when you called me crazy. And I was just like, whoa, 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 whoa. So this person hasn't changed, because what makes them think I'm crazy? I've done nothing but react to what they've done to me. I've done nothing but try to take space since what they've done to me. I've done nothing but try to heal since what they've done to me. And once again, grieving and healing is not linear. Someone has the right to, especially if they have empathy, see where you may have been coming from and give you the benefit of the doubt and try to work things out with you. But if you keep showing some of the same actions, they then have the right to change their mind. And not only that, once again, they then have the right to say, okay, now that this person has had time, I had time, maybe things change, let's try again. And that is where the indecisiveness and bouncing back and forth came from. But when you called me crazy, I think it really did kind of send me into this way of thinking this person is never going to change, because they don't see that she's healing, she's grieving, she really loved me, and I traumatized her, I hurt her, I devastated her. Um, and she had a lot of trust and faith in me, and she always spoke well about me. She always spoke life into me. And the moment I could have at least given her the benefit of the doubt or done the same, I destroyed her. I did not even consider it or think about it for 1 second. And then when she came to me and asked for only honesty, I lied in her face in front of multiple people and expected her to be okay with it. And so I felt like you did not see my reaction as valid, and you didn't see my emotions as valid, especially given the circumstances of what you had did. And so I'm like, yeah, this person still doesn't get it. They still don't get it. So I'm done. So of course at that moment, after now trying to say, okay, I checked on them. They, once again, hope I'm okay. I hope they're okay. It seems like there's some growth here. Let's just keep seeing where it goes. That was instantly shattered when you started showing an instant sign of the same behavior. And once again, that is when I decided to make my police report. Because if you're going to keep watching me, if you're going to keep discussing me, if you're going to keep putting this woman who you know is fragile in these situations where her stability is always just swaying, because you already know she has trauma before she met you. You already know she's been through things. You already know like her mind is not the same as yours. And because of that trauma, she is very easily to shake. She's very jumpy. Um, and you don't see that as dangerous, you don't understand the importance of mental health to not play with someone else's, then you are once again a, a risk to people, literally a health risk. And then to, on top of that, say you may kill someone. Now, as someone once again who has seen her dead family members in a casket because of a man not being able to respect her boundaries, I could not take that risk. And that's what the police report was for. And I had made up my mind at that time, like, I am fucking just done. I'm done. And of course, someone tried to, speak on your behalf and everything. And I said, okay, let's go that route, right? Let's give them the benefit of the doubt and things like that. And that's what I tried to do. But then, of course, next time we got on the phone, there was another insult, and you act like you couldn't fucking speak, and all of a sudden, oh, I can't hear you, and what'd you say, and this and that. And so, okay, this person doesn't want to speak to me. I don't want to speak to them. It's done. We're done. And that's where I was. That's where I was in September when all of that finally just took place and I was done. And so I think the closure comes, and once again, not, how do I say, not letting you use the fact that I was being indecisive as an excuse to go sleep around and why you don't want to be with me. Because after you've hurt a person and they really love you, they have a right to be indecisive about if they want to be with you or not. They want to be with you because they love you and they want to build with you and they want to support you in your dreams. They want to be there with you on your journeys and protect you on your journeys. They want to be there because they love you and they want to protect you. And so it goes against that instinct of them to then turn around and just leave you in this world all by yourself, especially if they feel like you can't make good decisions and you've shown that by your actions. So, of course, this person's going to worry. Of course, this person isn't going to want that for you. And so they may say, you know what, I really just, maybe I can try again. I don't want to hurt them. I don't want that for them. And so it's natural for that person to bounce back and forth between the two because obviously you haven't changed. Obviously, you're not a good person. Obviously, you're not a trustworthy person. So obviously, it's not a good idea for that person to, girl, you don't belong over there. Oh my God, that cat doesn't even live over there. And my neighbor, where are they? Oh, their lights are on. Okay. No, their light isn't on. Their light's usually on. Hmm. You gotta make sure your neighbors are okay, fam. Um, yeah, that cat does not live over there. Where is it going? Um, but so it makes sense that that person wouldn't feel safe putting themselves back around you or back in your hands. But at the same time, it's very understandable that that person who loves you finds it really hard to once again not say, "Oh my God, He doesn't want me. I can't believe this. Whatever will I do type shit. But if I leave him to his own devices, this motherfucker has shown he does not know what's best for him. And so it worries, that person who loves you. It's kind of like a parent. And I'm not your mom, but I think there is a type of love that is just, it embodies across so many different type of relations that you do feel all of these things for this person. And that really is what love is to me. You meet someone and you want to protect them and you want to care for them, and you see the youth in them, but you also see who they are now, who they've been. You understand them in all their phases, and you also see the potential of where they could go, bad or good. And you want to, of course, once again, protect them and support them in going towards good. But if they can't choose good for themselves, you love them enough that you want to protect them. And so it's kind of like a parent who knows that they need to fucking kick their kid out because their kid is just too reliant on them. Um, but they are worried, to kick their kid out because what if my kid doesn't succeed? What if they fall on their ass? What if, I kick them out and then something bad happens to them? Now I'll feel guilty and my kid will feel like I forsaken them, and I don't want that to be our last, interactions with each other and this, that, and the third. And it felt like that multiple times. And so that's where the bouncing back and forth came. And so the fact that you can't still put yourself in my shoes to see that that's where I was coming from lets me know that you still don't see my emotions or reactions as valid. And so to me, that then means you don't understand the severity and gravity of what you did and how deep it actually was. Oh, don't start being loud. Where the fuck are they going? Where are they going? If I was a parent and I saw my kids hop that fence so skillfully, my heart would drop. Because, bro, what are you doing? Hopping fences like that. Who taught you that? Where did you learn that? Why do you know that? The teenager who knows how to hop fences ain't up to no damn good. And then they all get in the car and drive off. Yeah, my heart would fucking drop. Hey, hey, bring your ass back here. What the fuck y'all got going? Oh my god. And I just noticed they didn't even park on the right side of the road. Ah, hopefully they make it home. Um, and like I said, it's crazy because I watched these little boys. I remember like when their fucking baseball helmets were too fucking big for them, and I would look at that shit and I'd wonder like, damn, their baseball team never got a different size for them. They're just out there with that shit. Or their baseball hats, my bad. And now to just see them like all grown up, one of them's graduated, see them get their license and stuff. It's just been really weird watching neighbors grow up, especially because I was a kid at one point myself, and my neighbors watched me grow up, and now I know how it feels. Oh my God. Very interesting. Um, so that's not an excuse for you to sleep around. That's not an excuse for you to um say, oh, she doesn't know what she wants, so I'm gonna go do me. I always told you I wanted you and that I loved you and I would love to be by your side and experience life with you. I told you that. Um, so it was never about being indecisive. It was just about needing time. But I started to be done when you weren't giving me that time and you weren't giving me that space and you were not making me feel safe because then I knew I would never get better with you. And if you follow these train of thoughts and you put yourself in the shoes of that individual, now ask yourself, did that individual have a right to make those decisions for themselves? I don't make them feel safe. I don't listen to them when they ask me not to do things because they hurt them or they'll have effects or consequences. I don't take, their opinion into to heart or anything like that. I don't try to show them that I actually care about what they tell me. I don't try to grow or learn from any actions that have caused us to even be in the situation in the first place. So that person doesn't trust me. Would that person be right to not trust you? Would you be right to not trust a person like that? And your answer is yes. At least it should be if you care about yourself, because you're not going to surround yourself with someone like that. And on top of that, if I have said that I am going to kill someone, and I know that this person has gone through such a traumatic event, and even if they haven't, no one wants to be around someone who's a killer, then would you want to be around someone like that if you were in my shoes and you were a woman? Would you want your daughter to be around somebody like that? Someone who doesn't take her into heart and consideration and doesn't listen to her and shows he doesn't fully accept her or care about her and her view of the world, but yet he's willing to kill behind her. Would you feel safe sending your daughter off with a man like that? And so why should I feel safe sending myself as someone's daughter or as a woman who has to take care of myself? Why would I then put myself in that situation? Why do you expect me to? Does that make sense? Now, but if this person, right, your daughter loves them, you can see why your daughter may be conflicted on leaving them behind. But daddy, I love him. He doesn't know any better. He's still growing. You may even be able to see her perspective on why she feels that way. And you may see that she may genuinely feel that way about this person and that it may hurt her to have to be separated from this person. But you would still not feel safe letting her go with this person. And so you would be conflicted yourself as a father, because I want what makes my daughter happy. And obviously she wants to be with this man. She loves him. She wants it to work out. But he obviously isn't good for her. And she needs to see that as well. So what would you then tell her? Oh, well, he's not good for you right now. Maybe when he gets better, right? And that's all I was saying. And I have the right to feel that way. So no, that wasn't me being indecisive. That was me doing what was best for me at that time. And the fact that once again you don't see that or you don't understand that shows that you don't have, to me, what it takes to make the right decisions as a man to protect yourself. Because if you think it's okay for someone else to do, why shouldn't it be okay for you to do? So you should then go put yourself in those kinds of situations, right? Hold on. Get away from my hair. Yeah. What would you do in that situation? You wouldn't do that. So once again, why do you expect me to? Now you're going home. I told you, hey, I'm talking to you. Excuse me. Girl. Oh my God. That cat does. These cats on the street, man. With disrespect. Um, So that's where I was coming from with my decision making on that. And like I said, it does not give you, if you feel like, oh, her indecisiveness is indecisiveness, so now I can go sleep around, or oh, she doesn't know what she wants, so I should just go sleep around, you don't see why she's probably making those decisions. She obviously really loves me. So wouldn't it be hard for her to leave me? Wouldn't it be hard for her to just throw me aside if she really loves me? And she has shown she's loved me up until this point, unless you think I really didn't love you up until that point. And that is once again a you thing, because now you have to ask yourself, well, why don't I feel she loves me? Did she do anything to make me feel like she didn't love me? Did she ever treat me wrong? Did she ever hurt me? Constantly, repeatedly, back to back, even after I told her not to? Or did she always try to accommodate me and listen to me and consider me in her decisions because she cared? And so then why do you feel like she doesn't love you if she's shown she has? Either at that point you don't believe that you can be loved in that way, or that you don't deserve to be loved in that way, and then that means no matter how much I love you, you're never going to believe me and you're never going to see that. And so you'll always treat me any kind of way because you think you have someone who doesn't love you, and so therefore you should do to them what they do to you. And then that means I'm fighting a losing battle, and I can't do anything about that but go somewhere else. Or that means you know that person loved you, but you are just hoping and using this situation as a um what do you call it? A reason as to why you're off doing what you're doing. So then if ever confronted about it, you can have basically plausible deniability. So what would I do in that case if someone was doing that and you showed them that you love them every which way and that you just need to be able to heal from what, you know, they've done to you, or on top of some timeline that they've given you, thinking that, ooh, my father's coming.